what's a light novel I absolutely hate, but a manga I absolutely love? Youjo Senki, that's what. That's right, today we're going to be talking about Youjo Senki, or Saga of Tanya the Evil. But because the anime is kinda mediocre and the light novel is an absolute drag to read through, today I'll be talking about the manga adaptation. And boy, what a pleasant surprise this was. I've read 54 chapters of this masterpiece of an adaptation, so without further ado, let's get right into why the manga adaptation of Youjo Senki is so great. But before we start, be warned that there will be some minor spoilers in this video. Not anything that would ruin this series for you, but some tiny spoilers nonetheless. And with the spoiler warning out the way, let's get right into why Youjo Senki's manga adaptation is so phenomenal. But before we get into why it's so great, I must sadly bring forth my issues with this manga. The first issue I have with this manga is that it can be somewhat tiresome to read. Now I know, this might seem silly. There are plenty of 70 plus page chapters. While that may seem like a good thing, when you're trying to binge this manga like me, it is exceedingly difficult to consume so many pages back to back. And while some may not see this as an issue, this made the manga extremely difficult to consume at times. I still enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but it was so difficult to read so much at once. But I suppose this is only a complaint if you binge it like myself. But because I experienced some difficulty reading it, I have to bring it up. And the other small complaint I have with this manga is that, well, it can be slightly boring at times. There is so much military talk and mumbo jumbo that you can get somewhat bored. Now, this wasn't very often that I got bored when I was reading, but it did happen, which is noteworthy. However, a majority of this manga did bang, so this is a very small complaint. And now that we have the bad out the way, let's go on to the good and everything that I love about this manga. And let's start with the art. The art is amazing. There's no way around it. From the characters to the bullets and explosions to the facial expressions to everything. The art in this manga is simply breathtaking. In fact, the art is so phenomenal that even when characters are just simply talking, I get extremely invested because they're drawn so dynamically and expertly. It's just phenomenal. Now, don't get me wrong, the art's no Dragon Ball or Laid Back Camp, but if you want to look at some nice pieces of art to pass time, go get this read. It's pretty good. Another great thing about this manga is the characters. The characters are amazing. From Tanya to Whis to Glanz to Visha, every character in this series is extremely interesting to read about and follow. I think the generals are great characters, and how they think during war is very interesting. I think the enemy officials are actually characterized with how scared they are when they're faced against the onslaught of the Empire. Even the characters that don't get much screen time, like Rugen, are expertly written and have great chemistry with a character like Tanya. One of my favorite characters, Glanz, was written so well, going from a recruit to a hardened veteran. It's so believable and really interesting. The characters in this manga are all amazing, and I cannot help but enjoy reading them. They're that good. Another great thing about this manga is the writing. Everything is written so brilliantly. How the war unfolds, how Tanya fights against the flow of history that she's already experienced in her past life, how panicked officials become when the war begins to tip out of their favor. The series is shown to be an expert at using something like Chekhov's gun as well. And there's just so many literary techniques that this series uses expertly. The writing of the series is phenomenal, and because it's a manga and not the boring light novel, it will always keep you engaged on what happens next. And the final great thing about this manga is the humor. The humor is extremely fun. From people being scared due to Tanya's age and demeanor, to people believing that Tanya is on her period because she's shivering at the thought of more war. It's great. From simple misunderstandings with Tanya and the general staff, to the gag with Glanz being picked on, it's all great and had me laughing out loud at multiple times during my read through. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. Youjo Senki is a mediocre anime, and the most boring light novel I've ever read, but one of the more enjoyable manga experiences I've had as of late. I highly recommend this manga, although it may be a bit hard to binge. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.